All right, we're back. Drake's here.
I'm
Becky
back.
subbed out a little earlier than expected. Apparently, she had to go attend a birthday party or something, but the real party is right here with Drake and I. I don't know what she's thinking.
No better party than watching some competitive Magic played at a high level, Joe. I tell you
That's
what, that's what the real
right.
party is. You're right.
All right, so we got round 6 coming up here, which is the first round where we're potentially going to have win and ends for top 8. So we'll go ahead and go down to the table as the players, I believe, are already there. We've got Mack Endress versus Samuel Nordenson, 4-color Blink versus Golgari Yawgmoth. So we saw Yawgmoth last round, different player, losing to Living End, despite Leyline of the Voids in play. But 4-color Blink here for Mack Endress. We haven't seen a ton of 4-color today, at least compared to its metagame percentage. And 4-color Blink is going to be. We didn't see the other 4-color. Was not a Blink deck, was it?
I think it was like the traditional like Traverse build. If you want to get really into the nitty gritty, the Blink builds. I don't think normally play Traverse. It might just be labeling. It looks like this deck has Traverse in it as well. So I think it is the same archetype. There is some small denominations. Obviously, but typically the Traverse one's called Delirium due to the Delirium effect of Traverse as well as doing the Emrakul thing. But mostly it's the same deck. I mean, we're talking about 80 cards and like 10 cards are different. Like, come on, we're doing the same thing here.
Yeah, overlap is intense between these decks. When I see Blink, I think of Ephemerate, but that doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, I guess Yorion Blink, so they're all Blink decks.
Yeah, exactly. Yorion is a Blink effect, Joe, and we got things to blink no matter what. The Elemental's always going to be good to blink, as good to blink as they are to tutor up. As a, I believe Katria Triome is fetched up here on Instep. I'm going to get these wrong. These four like Triomes, I just cannot get them right.
Yeah, I think that's Raugrin actually.
All right, sure. I believe you. It looks like Raugrin, Because there's no Katria in the deck, so that's a good way to know.
I may be leading you astray, but yeah, I think I'm right about that one. All right, so here we go. Samuel developing on the board here. Ignoble Hierarch turn 1 into Strangle Rootgeist and Yawgmoth. So a couple Undying creatures, but a couple
couple of Solitudes to answer one.
Take one.
That's a lot of respect for Strangle Rootgeist, I think. Being able to pitch on turn 2, representing a lot of respect for the early damage that this Yawgmoth deck can get with their sticky threats. Fury, much worse than Solitude. Exiling, mattering a ton against the Undying mechanic sported by this Yawgmoth deck. And Yawgmoth could come down as early as this turn.
It could. It's going to take a black source, but there is one. Tapped.
That one's coming in tapped. No Yawgmoth in hand, most likely. At least don't want to play it quite yet. As here comes an attack for 2, thanks to Exalted. Very quick passing of the turn. 3 mana held up here by Samuel. Quick land pass of the turn. A lot of foils here for Mack Endress. Impressive stuff. End step.
Do like the style. Okay, Endurance.
I do like my foils.
Not worried about Jawari Disruption or Censor. Just taps out.
Joe, what are you even on about? When's the last time you've seen that card played in Modern?
I'm just making noise. That's all I do here.
Censor, Joe. You're just hungry to censor somebody. Just force spike you. There's Urborg. All lands tapped for black.
Which potentially relevant in this matchup. The Urborg actually completes domain for Mack Endress.
Makes Leyline Binding cost 1.
Leyline Binding, it's cheaper.
Looks like we're considering channeling an Otawara here in response. Maybe try to bounce the Young Wolf, save some points of damage, and not have the Undying thing online quite yet. I don't think you need to do that, but Mack doing a little bit of thinking here.
I mean, it might save a small bit of attack damage, but I mean, it could just be recast.
Response, we're going to pitch Yorion to a 3rd copy of Solitude to exile the Undying. I think I like this a little bit better.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. The Otawara play, I feel like it's pretty shaky, but Endurance, I mean,
well, you'd either bounce it and then Solitude the Yawgmoth, right? When he goes to recast the Young Wolf with that last floating green, or you do it this way and try to make Yawgmoth not a real threat. I don't really know if I have a preference one or the other. You got to decide on a plan for sure. Yeah. Mack thinking on instep here, whether we want to use that Otawara now, if we want to wait a little bit. Gonna go ahead and use it now.
Okay. So, well, that'll get it off the board. But is this end step still?
Yeah, I believe we're still in end step, and Sam's now thinking about if they want to sack any creatures in response. Looks like the answer is no. Unholy Heat the pickup.
Yeah.
Very far from Delirium is
Right.
Mack Endress.
Glances at the graveyard. So that's one of those tells where, ideally you want to have your setup or your awareness at a point where you don't have to give away telegraph when you draw something like that, but he definitely did there.
We'll see if it matters to Sam, as we're just quickly redeploying a Ignoble Hierarch and then redeploying the Yawgmoth here. Here comes an attack for 5, thanks to 2 copies of Ignoble Hierarch, giving Exalted to this Endurance.
All right, with fetch land on the board here, I mean, I don't think we've seen Omnath right now, so yeah, max life total dropping here, and no easy way to replenish it, and not likely to draw another copy of Solitude at this point.
Yeah, it's ironic. We've seen Mack, use all of these Solitudes early in the game to stymie a lot of the initial damage and a lot of the, initial huge blowout turns that Sam could have with Yawgmoth by taking out the Young Wolf as well. But as a result, all these, basically 1-for-2s have left Mack with not a lot of action backup. And suddenly 2 Ignoble Hierarchs and Endurance looks like a real clock against a player that doesn't have a lot of spells left over.
Yeah. Land for the turn, and there's a Traverse in hand, and there's still no Delirium.
2 Delirium cards, 2 types from Delirium. That's brutal.
This is not the way you draw it up. Yeah, no instance of sorcery is drawn this game for Mack.
Now, an Expressive Iteration could very quickly change the texture of that. There is pressure for Samuel to get the game over with, and a 3rd Ignoble Hierarch is going to help get that done. As here's now an attack for 6 damage. That fetch land no longer online.
Wow.
And we may see any draws here from done.
Samuel here? Okay, we're going to cash in at least 1 Hierarch here.
Looking for potentially a Geralf's Messenger to end the game now.
That would certainly work. I mean, a Tutor, a Messenger. There are a number of ideal cards.
Oh, no, the haste threat. Well, I don't think you would have attacked with it anyway. 3 Ignoble is better than the 2 points from Strangle-Root. And this isn't quite lethal yet, as here comes the sacrifice.
This is just a divination.
Kill. Yeah, we're just looking for a kill second main here. Thinking here on Sam. We're going to go ahead and sack another Ignoble Hierarch. Every threat that has power is lethal as it is. Gonna let that happen, says Mack. No response with heat quite yet. We can keep doing this, says Sam. Yeah, sacrifice this Undying Trigger. Here's a counter. I'm gonna draw a card. Any Geralf's Messengers in chat?
I mean, he's got all the black mana he needs to cast things. I mean, until you're at 7 cards in hand, or maybe even past that, I don't see any reason not to. What do you need this Hierarch for? Okay, he's gonna pass the turn here.
And does not matter, Mack. Another brick. Gonna go ahead and pick it up.
Max, my deck betrayed me. It had nothing to do with you, Samuel Nordenson. You didn't beat me.
There's no interaction.
Instants and sorceries and drawing of Delirium cards. That's what did it. All right. So, it can't develop much worse for Mack Endress in the future than it did that game. But let's go ahead and look at the sideboard, the decks, sideboards, see what all is going on here. All the cards he didn't draw.
Look pretty good in the matchup.
Yeah. So we see, it's not a mono creature deck. There are instances of sorceries in the deck and planeswalkers.
Very true. Other types to turn on to Delirium. Pretty traditional Delirium build here. 4 Traverse, 4 Unholy Heat, and then, of course, the supporting cast of Mishra's Baubles, Abundant Growth, Dress Downs, and stuff like that to give you the extra types you need to actually turn on your Delirium. And as we saw, very much needed to make those cards work. They did not look very good for Mack in game number 1 without those pieces.
All right.
Look at the sideboard here.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen that late in the game when he's not actually achieved Delirium and be totally punished for it.
Oh, for sure. Now, I have to imagine your Veil of Summers have to be pretty good against the black-based interaction deck some amount of the time, right?
You may think, but we'll see. We'll take a look at the deck list. But my experience with Veil of Summers is actually not good against this deck, and I feel like that's the big trick of the deck.
Is that people think it's Veil of Summers good?
Yeah. Okay. I have boarded in Veil of Summers in this matchup, and they look stupid.
You could just cycle them, Joe. You don't even want to cycle them?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's okay. I mean, that could work.
Do you want Dress Downs and Verdict then?
Yeah,
I think we want Dress Downs. Do you want the Verdict?
I mean, they combos well together. I don't know if I want Verdict. I definitely want Dress Down.
Yeah, Dress Down.
All right, let's take a look at Samuel Nordenson's deck here. How many cards in this deck interact with Veil of Summer?
Well, there's a Torok in the sideboard. We could start there.
Yeah.
How about the 2 Thoughtseizes in the sideboard? Also pretty good. All Beyond that, it's less that matters. Yeah, okay.
It's not a lot. I mean, obviously you can cycle it a lot of the time. some of the time anyway. But I personally do not think Veil Summer is very good here.
Are we Magus of the Mooning
I
here,
guess there's
Joe?
Grist. There's Grist as well. I mean, that's another card. Are we okay? That's a good question. Are we Magus of the Mooning? I think we are. I think we are. I think
look. I don't know why it's your sideboard if you're not bringing it in here.
Yeah.
You know, it's Unholy Heat is going to tag it, and that's really unfortunate. And that's part of the advantage to the Delirium build is you have a little bit of extra help against the moon effects. You know, Boseiju is the traditional one to make Blood Moon itself pretty bad. But when you start including 1 mana red removal spells like Bolt and Heat, then you get some help against the Magus. And, you know, when you have both angles covered, it's great. But of course, Sam, not a lot of red mana to actually make it happen. Only Ignoble Hierarch can allow you to cast it. But you have the Court of Callings and the Eldritch Evolutions and the like to cheat it into play against a 4-color deck that does not fetch any basics.
Yeah, and we saw, or Samuel saw game 1. I mean, Mack was not shy about burning off removal on the early creatures. Now, those are exile spells, which is different.
Yeah, and those still work under the Magus as well. So maybe you just don't want it. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. There's an awful variety of ways to deal with it. So you're right. Maybe that's not worth.
We see alternate mode. I call it alternate. That was the only mode in game 1 of Traverse the Ulvenwald as Lay of the Land. Going to go ahead and search a basic. We found basic snow-covered mountain. Did Mack Endress found a land here. Now, Wrenn and Six here would be disgusting to go ahead and pick off the Ignoble Hierarch. Does not have it. And we pass to Samuel Nordenson. Yavimaya. All lands make green. Another Ignoble Hierarch. We can do this again. Here comes Strangerroot, guys.
Okay. And for 4, I mean, that's pretty solid.
4 damage coming across on turn 2 is pretty impressive for the, I call it mopey. I don't even know if it's mopey beatdowns anymore. It's the only way Golgari Yawgmoth, I feel like it wins games. They don't even have a combo. They just attack you with green-black beatdowns.
But they do not seem like they combo kill all that often. I mean.
And we can do this again.
Says
Solitude
again, pitching to Omnath. So, all right. I mean, certainly a cost, but getting the Undying creature out of there. But you're right. Maybe it's just a 4 damage clock. Mack doesn't want to deal with it.
Absolutely not. I want to be able to develop in peace, have a plenty of life total cushion as we go into the mid to late game, and that means that your Strangerroot Geist needs to get solituded. Also has the added benefit, like we saw a little bit in game 1, where if you pick off the Undying creatures with the exile early, then it does demand that Sam find another one to make Yawgmoth be a very explosive play the turn it hits the battlefield.
Mack does have Veil of Summer in hand, so we'll see if he finds a use for that.
Well, we're going to tap out this turn. That does require tapping your lands if you wish to pay 3 mana to buy your in, and we have gotten that fixed.
I mean, if you're one of those people that plays by the rule, that's obsessive.
You know. This is 2 mana. Strangerroot Geist number 2. All right. Do we have Solitude number 2, Mac? We do not. And the 4-turn clock begins now. Urborg. All lands are blue or black-green. And here is the Geralf's Messenger. Going to deal 2 additional points. Right off the bat, coming in tapped, 3/2 Undying creature. And we're once again, great Undying beatdown plan. And look at that. The rare from Dark Ascension. Very good in its standard time as well in the aggro decks.
Yeah.
Okay. Up to 4 damage.
Another Veil of Summer. I assume Mack's not going to be interested in that one. Development and removal is what he wants right here. Is that middle card a Prismatic Ending there?
I believe it's gotta love that one.
Yeah, that sounds good. Although it's only it doesn't actually decrease the clock, but you probably still got to cast it. But yeah, this is so his hand. He's got Veil of Summer.
You hand it, right? Because you can hand it and exile the Geralf's Messenger. And I think that gets you somewhere if you can live through this turn. We handed it anyway. Yeah. Exile the Strangerroot, guys. Pass the turn back. Now, thanks to Geralf's Messenger enters the battlefield field ability, we still have a 2-turn clock right now. Yeah. This Geralf's Messenger. Here's an attack for 5. That's going to work. Mack Endress, dead on board. Just like that. Doesn't even feel like Sam had to work that hard for it either. No. It's just here's some Ignoble Hierarchs, and really, I think showing the power of Ignoble Hierarch in multiple.
Yeah, like Playing Engineer would have demolished Samuel both games so far.
Yeah, but, no Fury to pick him off alongside the actual Undying creature or anything. So it's just, here we go. Every creature is a real threat thanks to Ignoble Hierarchs.
And a land comes to play tapped here. Is it Dress Down?
This looks like an upkeep Dress Down. Going to stop Exalted from happening.
Yeah.
Mean that Mack is going to live through the turn, provided there is no... I guess haste would be stripped off the Strangerroot. Yeah, so you're just good to go.
Yeah, but still, this is precarious here. A tutored up I mean, if a Yawgmoth sacrificing Messenger now on Mack's turn would be lethal if Samuel finds one. Of course, here's another hierarchy.
Here's third ignoble hierarchy. You can draw every single copy of that card, no matter what. And boy, they have looked good in these games. Teferi, the draw. Don't think that changes things.
I think it's done.
Thinking the Veil of Summer, as bad as you advertised.
Well, okay, I take it back. It's not. Let's see. Does Yorion kill Messenger with 3 hierarchs in play? It would be 5 because you don't want it to at this point.
Yeah, you would not. You would successfully leave that around.
Yeah, so you could play Yawgmoth to chump block Draws Messenger
for your
to buy a turn.
Yeah. Little Teferi bouncing Draws Messenger, definitely not the way you want to do it unless you have a counterspell. Looks like he might.
Oh,
I think that's
no, but that doesn't work either. The hierarch will just attack and kill you.
Yeah, that is a problem. We need to draw a little additional help. Fetch lands do tap for green and black. And we do have one of those. That one does make mana. Here's an Abundant Growth. That needs to find a pitch card. Verdict's a little late to the party.
Find a pitch. Find a pitch card. Oh, is there a? Oh, you mean find a pitch card, not find a card to pitch? Yeah, well, this is what you said. I just misheard you.
I should have said Evoke Elemental.
No, you
and Dryad Arbor gonna interplay here. That one will get the job done.
Yeah, anything will get the job done. I mean, 3 hierarchs. You don't even need power.
Damage. That's true.
It's get an Ornithopter.
I mean, Ignoble Hierarch itself is just already an 0-1, and it's already getting the job done.
But you may as well have flying, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a little extra sugar. Don't even need it. Still had all these.
Mack is just dead, right? He has nothing.
I believe that is the case. Here's an attack with Dryad Arbor.
It's Mack, a 4. And that's it.
That's going to do it. Dryad Arbor too powerful.
Destroys Mack Endress with the power of infinite ignoble hierarchs.
Yeah. 3 each game is looks incredibly impressive, despite Mack's very proactive. I mean, you saw a lot of respect for keeping his life total high with the early solitudes to help stymie some of the pressure. He had a lot of respect for the clock the Golgari Yawgmoth deck can put on, and despite that, still just got the beatdown. Even, I mean, what was that? Probably turn 6 kill just from a bunch of ignoble hierarchs.
Yeah. No, that was a whole lot of exalted triggers. Some come into play triggers, and really Mack's deck just not functioning according to plan in either game.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely needed a lot more time. Definitely needed at least 2 less ignoble hierarchs each game, and for that game to look a little bit more competitive. So impressive stuff from the Golgari Yawgmoth deck, especially lining up against the menace of 4-color Yorion.
Yeah, and a Fury would have been tremendous either game, but
for sure.
Yeah. All right, so we got a backup match ready to go. Let's get over there. Plenty of time left in this round. We got you okay. Here we go. We got Jesse
Batman Robkin. Sleeves. I love it.
Yeah, we do. Jesse Robkin versus Victor Wood. All right. Yeah, in the playing the part of Batman here.
And of course, the girl who never loses, Jesse Robkin.
Yeah, that's fair
earlier
enough.
This season in the finals of 2 different events. I believe first on our season 2 leaderboard.
Yes, she is.
And I believe second on our overall. Just absolutely an impressive, dominating performance with this Breach deck over the last few months. She's put a ton of work into it. Honestly, one of the first people I saw playing it. She is again at 4-1, representing the Jeskai build, now including Teferis and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just wrote an update, I think last week, to her. She had an article maybe in February or March about these Breach decks, and wrote an updated version last week, and it's excellent. It's fairly lengthy, so if you have some time, you want to sit down and go through and really learn the ins and outs of the deck, you can find that. I don't remember what site's hosting it, but it is a well-written article.
Yeah. Impressive writing. She can do it all. She can write, she can jam games, win events, and very likely qualifying for our season end, I guess through season 2, our end of the year championship. Via points. So, I mean, impressive run from her. We'll see if she can continue to do the magic she's done, getting it done against 4-color.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, you don't have to do anything different. You just have to keep doing what you are already doing, which she has been excellent at so far. Jeskai Breach getting going here. So we see the Emery in play, a couple artifacts, only 1 land.
You don't need lands, Joe.
Well,
here's a Leyline Binding. I believe that's a Zagoth Triome, the Sultai one.
Oh, good. I wouldn't have had that one.
I'm trying to get them right here, Joe. I'm trying. And by the end of this broadcast, I will have the full art. See, I don't own the full art ones. I own the normal ones.
Yeah.
And I have to learn these full art triomes, and they all look so just blob of dark color. I can't see. I don't know. I have to pick up and read them against my opponents in paper. Jesse looks to be without a mana source.
Yeah.
After the Emry is dead, Wrenn and Six going to return a Misty Rainforest from hand to get put into play. We'll get some loyalty on that eventually. So here is another draw that is not a land, nor a red land even, to cast these Ragavans. So she has 1 mana spells, can't cast them. Island, looking very under impressive.
Yeah, well, this whole board state, I mean, the 4-color decks have kind of, not exactly looked impressive today. But when you give them, 9 free turns, I guess they're able to establish a pretty significant presence.
Very true. When Jesse elects to, very unskillfully miss her land drop, completely within her control. Here's Omnath as a follow-up. It definitely is going to look more impressive as Victor essentially solitaring his deck.
Yeah.
And the fetch land follow-up, exactly where you want to be with this. And we're getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah, we got to fetch before we pick up the library. Going to grab a land. That's going to generate some mana, making this Omnath basically 0 mana. Powerful interaction. The reason the card's good, and we see some Risen Reefs. So calling this deck, I think the 4-color Blink. Those were Risen Reefs, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah, we got 4 copies of Risen Reefs. So this one a little bit more of like the Blink style build, right? Where you have the more things to blink. You have 2 copies of Ephemerate itself. Not necessarily all in on elementals as like a true tribe, but definitely better with the blink cards. And Jesse has seen enough. Yeah. She knows the formula here.
I got a kick out of Victor with Jesse on 1 mana source on like turn 7. Victor gets a shock land, puts it into play tapped at 20. It's like, that's not worth your life.
Life total matters, Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Every point matters. I love it. A lot of respect for playing your best, even in spots where your opponent looks to be hopelessly buried.
All right. So let's see some deck lists here. I'm sure people are interested to see if there's any updates to Jesse Robkin's deck list. And then we've also got the 4-color on the other side. So what you're looking at here is basically a couple early creatures that generate advantage, Ragavan and Ledger Shredder. And then we've got support for this combo kill, which involves, well, I was going to say Emry, but it doesn't have to involve Emry, but really involves Grinding Station and Underworld Breach.
Powerful magic card.
Yeah.
Band and Legacy. Very, very potent. Grinding Station doing a budget brain freeze impression here in this deck. Kind of has a lot of the same appeal that Hammer does, right? Where you have this like aggressive fair plan with things like Ragavan and your Ledger Shredders and your Urza Sagas. And then you also have a combo kill. So you fight decks in the format on 2 different axes.
Right.
And Dress Down normally very good against this deck. Teferi now included in this list, becoming Jeskai in order to help out with that.
Yeah. Now you say Band and Legacy. Underworld Reach also Band and Pioneer. This is the only format you can play it in.
And here it is, looking very impressive. Sideboard options, I have to imagine were pretty. I don't know. I haven't read the guide as thoroughly as maybe you have, but I have to imagine that if we're scared of Dress Down, Teferi is an appealing thing. Maybe some amount of these counter magic. You don't want to go too hard on it and dilute the game plan too much, but I have to imagine some of the Spell Pierce Aethergust stuff is at least somewhat appealing.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Victor's 4-color deck. Victor Wood's 4-color Blink. Do we have Ephemerates this time? Yes, we do.
Okay. Yeah, once again, like I mentioned, no Traverse in this build. Only 2 copies of Unholy Heat, which honestly I think is even a little bit ambitious. When you have access to Leyline Bindings, which you see only, I think, you have all 4 copies. Never mind. Well, maybe this is just the best next spell you can play because, I mean, you don't see any of the help that the Traverse decks get with Baubles and like Dress Downs that are played in the main deck and all the other various artifacts, enchantment-based things that you have to do to respect the fact that you need Delirium.
Yeah, no, I like the way this looks. I mean, there is the tutor package with Eldarmor's Call. I don't really have a feeling about whether Traverse or Eldarmor's Call is better. They both function. Obviously, Traverse getting a land early is nice, but I'm sure earlier this round we demonstrated how there are drawbacks to it sometimes.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, 1 versus 2 mana also just matters a lot. I mean, Eldamir's Call, but Eldamir's Call can be pitched to Solitude. Of course, it's very much a playstyle thing. I think a lot of the community at large has kind of pinned Traverse as the current best, but that could easily change based on the texture of the format or what have you.
Yeah.
Sideboard, think we're interested in the dress downs. Called those out as being a good against Saga, as well as I think it shuts down the combo face up. Dovin's Veto, also somewhat appealing. Definitely another reason to have some Teferis in the deck post board. For Jesse, don't think we're trying to Magus to the Moon, maybe, because like you have basics and
I wouldn't think
artifacts.
so.
I mean, it stops the sagas, right?
Yeah,
that's like the
that's true.
appeal.
That's true, but the dress down kind of does that also.
Correct.
Um,
Endurance, very good. Being able to Eldamir's Call Endurance at instant speed is a good way to keep yourself from dying to the combo. But I don't think like we're still not even going that hard on it, right? We only have 2 copies, even with the sideboard copy available to us. So for the most part, need to either like Eldamir's Call for it or find some way to set it up. And I imagine there's plenty of bad ones, like the Emrakul and Fury don't seem that good. So a little bit of trimming here for the most part. Going to be running back with only 2 or 3 changes, which in an 80 card deck don't seem to matter that much.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the 80 card deck is you have like 2 dress downs, 2 Chalice of the Voids that you may want, but you can't rely on them.
Yeah, they can't be your sole plan unless you're
Right.
playing 4 to 6 copies of the sideboard card.
But having Leyline Binding as another prismatic ending that deals with anything, often for less mana, is really improves the redundancy of the removal in these decks. And it's not just creature removal; it's the ability to do with anything. Seems so strong. Yeah, Leyline Binding is super impressive to me.
We've seen.
I mean,
huge.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me explain to you what was happening here. So we watched the replay of game 1. The players are currently in game 2. So we're just going to go in live right there and pick it up from where we're at. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And we'll pick up and just see how things lie.
Right.
I think that's what I'm being told. I think that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, here we go.
All right.
And wow, there is stuff going on.
Okay. So let's see if we can catch up the board state here. Victor Wood with the zeros locked out with Chalice of the Void sitting on a pretty strong set of creatures and a whole ton of land.
That's a lot of mana. That's a lot of mana there.
Jesse Robkin with Emery and Grinding Station in play. So in need of both Breach and the way to get rid of this Chalice to win the game, I would think.
Yeah. I don't know if we necessarily do. We actually have to get rid of Chalice. I have not done the math or anything, but I don't know if Springleaf Drum like works in any way that you want it to. It probably doesn't. We see a Breach. The fact that Breach is not already in play would suggest to me that maybe you do need a way to get rid of this Chalice. We'll see if Jesse agrees.
Well, so I'm kind of amazed that despite all the lands Victor Wood has, he still managed to almost tap out.
I mean, it's important to use your mana every turn, right? Magic fundamentals. And I mean, we see a lot of stuff in play for Victor Wood, and Jesse had a very high life total. It's very reasonable that all these cards are fairly newly added to Victor's hand and played nearly immediately.
All right, so here is the breach for Jesse with an Abundant Growth on her Sacred Foundry. So that must have come off a Ragavan.
Yeah, we see multiple Ragavans in the graveyard as it is. Definitely helping out with that.
So depending on what all is in the graveyard, Underworld Breach. So you're right that maybe 0-mana artifacts aren't necessarily required to combo win. There could be looping Emeries to deck yourself with Underworld Breach if you had enough mana. But
well, I think the plan here might be to use Springleaf Drum to kind of shoo it in a little bit until you hit Teferi. So you basically you Grinding Station away the Springleaf Drum. Looks like we're actually going to start with getting another Emery in play, which should be mana neutral with the Springleaf Drum anyway, and get you 4 additional cards. And then we're basically just going to go until we find Teferi, use that to bounce the Chalice, and then it should all be rolled up.
Okay. So there's 4 cards exiled. Emery comes in.
Do you see the Gust?
Victor points out one of these has to be sacrificed first. Okay, that does happen.
There's a Teferi right away.
Okay. Now, is there there's Mox, there's Sacred Foundry, and there's Springleaf Drum. That's 3.
Yeah. Not going to claim to be a math expert, but that looks like enough to cast Teferi to me. Is there anything we can play around?
Jesse's hesitant here. I wonder if she is aware or is suspicious that Victor has some other kind of interaction.
Like a
to break things up
or something? What would be the problem? I mean, even if Victor has something, right? She has another copy of Breach in her hand, and lethal is definitely not in play. So even if she fails to go off here, she could just have it in another turn, as Victor very quickly reaching for this fetch land.
All right, so something's coming up here. It could be, well, rather than speculating, we'll just wait to find out. So Teferi on the stack. If this is countered, this will definitely be the end of Jesse's turn.
Definitely. Only one mana that I see in play right now. So it would have to be something like Spell Pierce, Leyline Binding, and no fetchables, it looks like. Gonna do a quick double check.
Is that
There's a Sacred Foundry.
What? Okay, well, but
that doesn't cast Leyline Binding.
Why?
And he realizes that and picks his cards up. I think it had to be like Leyline Binding on Breach or something in response, but that's not
okay. Well, we're gonna get to see another game. So why would? So Leyline Binding was going to cost 2 there, right?
Right.
So no fetch would have cast Leyline Binding there. So that can't have been the.
Maybe it was like a Spell Pierce or Dispute something here. Yeah, looks card.
Oh yeah, okay, that would make sense. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. That would make sense if just a Dispute or a Spell Pierce there would have been foiled by.
We have time. Let's see what's on the deck list.
Yeah, if we bring the deck list back up, sure. Let's go ahead and look at Victor Wood's deck list again, particularly the sideboard, and see what the plan might have been there.
I don't think Veil of Summer does what you want.
No. All right,
that's the only one mana spell in this sideboard. Let's get a look at the main deck. See what we could have had there.
Oh, Veil of Summer does do it, because then Jesse couldn't bounce the Chalice of the Void with the Teferi.
Oh, you're right. So maybe it needed a fetchable green. Yeah, you might be right. Look at you, Joe. This is why they pay you the big bucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also, I can't think of any other thing. So it had to be clearly there was something that he was intending to do and was unable to do. And
Sacred Foundry couldn't get it done. So yeah, I think you're on the money. I think Veil of Summer has to be it. So impressive stuff there from Jesse, finding the line underneath a chalice. And it looks like there was a lot of magic played there. Looks like the 4-color deck very much got to do its thing for at least a full turn. We saw Omnath in a flood of elementals, and Jesse was still able to lock it up underneath hate pieces and a ton of cards from Victor. So impressive stuff. Game split. Looks like Jesse going to mulligan here real quick.
Oh, Jesse, with all these accolades recently and these impressive articles, but Jesse takes a mulligan and checks the top of the deck to see what she.
I always check, Joe. Always check. Get out of here. Look, the key is that you always look, but never adjust your mulliganing strategy. Just look. You know, come on. You don't have that curiosity of, would this have worked out if I was just a greedy animal and kept a hand I shouldn't have? You don't have that?
No, maybe, but I don't have this foolish confidence that I can make these. I can look at this information and that affect my future choices. Of course, it's going to.
You would get affected. I mean, you can say to yourself, "Dang, that would have worked out," but I'm always supposed to mulligan this hand. You can say that to yourself. Discipline, Joe. It's about discipline.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jesse,
that hand looks like a keeper on a Moldus
5. Yeah, her second hand she looked at for about a second and a half. I'm not even sure she saw the 6th card and was like, "Yeah, this isn't going to work."
As we're looking, looks like 2 mana sources going to go to the bottom. Decision on whether or not to keep Saga. Does not do a good job of casting the Expressive Iteration, which could do a good job potentially of getting Jesse back in this game on card advantage. She's on the draw. And here's a challenge to start things off. You had so much fun last game. Let's run that one back, says Victor.
All right. Chalice meet Ragavan. I assume that's coming down. Oh, and
Mishra's Bauble in hand. Looking good. Jesse respecting Prismatic Ending and Wrenn and Six on turn 2. Gonna wait to dash the Ragavan.
Okay. Yeah, boy, getting stuck. I mean, having your combo shut down, but also having your cantrip shut down in a 5-card hand.
Not ideal, I'd say. I think if you asked Jesse what she wanted to play against, probably not specifically that in this particular moment.
Yeah.
Now, there's kind of this weird tension with the printing of Leyline Binding of, you don't want to get your Ragavan stuffed by a Wrenn or a Prismatic Ending, but if you just wait, like, Leyline Binding may just make it all not matter. Still probably correct to dash, but still just unfortunate to play around a bunch of things and still get got by Leyline Binding, as here comes the dash Ragavan. Trigger. There's a Windswept Heath. That's no good. Treasure going to help out a little bit, though. It's going to return to hand as we await the token entering play.
Whoa!
Very quick pass the turn back. Well, no third land. That Windswept Heath looks like it might have mattered quite a bit.
Yeah, usually I'm not excited when I flip a blank over like that, but that may have made a difference. Now, okay, Jesse's going to
pass.
Cancel the Ragavan dashing. Instead, just make a construct here because, Victor's stuck.
Yeah, I love this. Don't commit mana.
I mean, if Victor's holding a dress down, then this will all fall apart. But barring that,
it's free. You're getting it out of your lands. It's just like whatever. Sure, like I don't want to cast spells into your mana while you're missing land drops.
Yeah, okay.
Do stuff, and then you get stuff. Look, Urza Saga. Look at this powerful third chapter. You're gonna go grab an artifact that costs specifically 1 or 0. No injure explosives or any kind of that nonsense coming out. As here is Mox Amber added to the mix. That one able to be cheated through the Chalice by just being tutored into play, thanks to Saga.
Yeah, it doesn't currently tap for mana. It does grow the construct, though. And we know the Ragavan's in hand, so it can tap for mana once that makes it in.
And it looks like Jesse may be interested in exactly that. As here's Ragavan played for the 1 mana mode. Oh, 2 mana mode. There was a mana floating off the Urza Saga. Right. As here comes an attack with the Ragavan once more. And a land exiled again off Ragavan. I tell you, Joe, this is the real power of Ragavan, is just tilting your opponent off when you exile exactly what you want to draw. Just
which one of these players looks like they mulled to 5?
Yeah, no, you're not kidding. So here's a fetch happening very quickly. Gonna go grab the Hallowed Fountain. Maybe a little Teferi action. That would make that Mox Amber look very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, almost anything would. Yeah, Victor just kind of had his head in his hands there for a moment. Like, oh, I need some help here, deck. Let's go.
Oh, I think we maybe made a
construct
before damage to push the extra point like that a lot. Ragavan back to hand. Looks like Victor. The way that is not the movements of a man that drew a land for turn. He's sitting
Island,
up in the seat.
Wooded, or I mean, sorry. Yeah, just
moving to discards as there goes Risen Reef. That one not 2 mana, but in fact 3 mana. As Urza Saga gonna roll up to 3. Trigger on the stack. Going to make mana. It looks like.
And Victor not even fetching for Triome here, just not wanting to dilute the deck, hoping to draw the 3rd land. But yeah, this is a pretty sizable hit here this turn. Looks like we've got 5 artifacts, right? No, I'm sorry, 6.
This looks like the count is 6 artifacts.
Yeah.
So any additional artifact should be lethal, provided it enters play. Now, 2 Mishra's Baubles in Jesse's hand, not going to be played, but Ragavan dashed is enough for lethal. So here we see Victor going to have to fetch and shock, but even then, I don't think Leyline Binding's castable because we have not fetched a Triome.
Okay, Dress Down is the clear winner here.
Dress Down be the best by a
almost
lot.
Anything else results in Victor being dead.
But if you're going to Dress Down, you should do it before Ragavan attacks, because Ragavan does lose haste.
All right.
Here's a shock. That's going to put you to 10. Eldamri's Call. No, you can't cast that even. Here's a Solitude, exiling Leyline Binding.
Okay, Ephemerate would be pretty solid.
Gust, not going to get that one. Choosing what we want to exile. Ragavan is selected. Maybe Response here. Make some mana. Yeah, because that's the last legend. Going to make red mana. And there's Ephemerate, like you called out. That one's going to target a Construct. Construct still a 5/5.
Yeah, this is still, still a chunk of damage here that Victor, I think, has to take so that the Ephemerate can reset the...
yeah, and actually take care of this Construct as Jesse's life total climbs up and up.
Okay, so Victor's still in the game.
For sure. As here is thinking about playing a Ragavan second main. Looks like we are. Aether Gust still represented.
All right.
Going to go ahead and resolve our Ephemerate. throw the cards all over the place.
Those must be slippery. Jesse knocked a few of them down during a Mishra's Bauble in game 1, and now Victor's throwing them around the table too.
Yeah, you know the new sleeve effect. You got to start out with a fresh set of Batmans for our last.
Why do you think it has anything to do with doing fresh sleeves? It's just Batman.
It's just Batman. Batman's uncontainable. Uncontainable as the construct is sent to the exile zone. Another Solitude picked up. Jesse might have a little bit of trouble getting these last 5 points across as Victor continues to miss land drops. That's tough. That's really tough. Victor doing a good job making what he has work.
Well, the two players now have
a good job of getting that out the way.
Impossibly, they have the same number of lands in hand, in play, 2 each.
Solitude in response to Teferi, going to go ahead and attempt to exile this Ragavan. Think about making red mana in response. Looks like that is what's going to happen. Now, once Teferi happens, Jesse may be interested in something like an Expressive Iteration. Being able to find a land might be very appealing. Having that red floating would also just let you use that. Let's get that out of the way. Thank you. Thassa's Oracle. Not exactly the pickup you're interested in, but an attacker. And there is Expressive Iteration using the floating red from the Mox Amber prior to the Ragavan leaving.
Thassa's Oracle is like Scry 3. I mean, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's not really Scry. You only get to keep one, Joe. You only get to keep one. 1 or 0 are your options.
Right, fine.
You're our computer. Mountain, the Find. Going to play that one. Jesse making your land drops more than the 4-color deck. There is Ice-Fang Coatl. Going to immediately cast that one.
Oh my, this is painful.
Missed the land drop again. Wow. And Spire Bluff Canal to pick up. Ledger Shredder, a great follow-up. Mox Amber making some mana. Tried to cast the Mishra's Bauble. Does not work due to Chalice of the Void. That one will get countered. However, you will get to Connive. Then the other one gets to go to the graveyard off Connive and become a real card thanks to our Ledger Shredder. Pass the turn back. There's a land. Land number 3.
Yeah.
Is it too little, too late? Let's find out. See
Victor's
what Victor
at 5.
can do.
Jesse's at 30. They both have a flyer. This Ice-Fang Coatl is nowhere close to having Death Touch.
It's close. A basic here and another Coatl would give it Death Touch.
I mean, the way Victor's going, he's not going to draw another land for another 10 turns. So I don't think it's that close.
It looks like basic is selected. We're now playing a 3-color. So you thought this was 4-color. It's actually only banned.
And last game would have worked out better if it was 5 because you could get that ley line binding out there.
Yeah, no kidding. And it looks like Risen Reef pulled to the front. Going to see that one maybe interplay. See a basic here. Death Touch would be online. And Gust going to very quickly be cast against this Risen Reef. And you don't want to put that one on top, I have to imagine, right? Looks like Victor's thinking about it. Yeah, that one's got to go to bottom. We want to draw lands, please.
I mean, it could draw a land anyway.
Here is Evoke Solitude. That one's going to trigger the Connive. You see Jesse already reaching for that. Yeah, thank you. I will take my card.
I don't know. I mean, if you need to draw, I mean, Risen Reef is just as likely to hit a land off the top as you are to draw a land this turn. So it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, but you have to commit your mana if you have other things to do with your mana. Although it does look like Victor does not.
Yeah,
I mean, why you pick up Yorion? I don't know, Joe.
Play Yorion. Yeah, that's possible.
It looks like a draw step. And Jesse doing a little bit of rearranging here. Get the exile cards.
There's a bunch of cards in this graveyard. That looks like a bunch of free stuff for Underworld Breach.
An Underworld Breach would be a really good draw here. All right, let's Expressive Iteration. Go looking for one, shall we? Can't respond, so we can go ahead and move pretty quickly on that. Jesse very quickly throws a card to hand. Another Expressive Iteration to exile. Looks like our plan is to do that one again. And we sure are. Unholy Heat. Emery among the mix. And Mishra's Bauble. Can't imagine we want the Bauble. Looks like Breach already in hand for Jesse. And Emery in exile. Emery does cost 0. We have a Mox Amber hidden there and a Springleaf Drum. Emery resolves. 4 cards coming. Nothing super exciting there. Going to tick Teferi back up.
Yeah, there's Underworld Breaches ready to go in Jesse's hands. It's hard to imagine that she would be unable to concoct a win if one of those gets rolling, but we still got to let Victor miss another land drop here before she gets on with that.
My impression is that this is Victor's last turn
of the game. Forest! He drew a forest and doesn't allow him to cast anything.
Yeah, that's true.
It does. I mean, the Ice-Fang Coatl has Death Touch now. I sure didn't think that was likely to happen soon, but there you go.
Yeah, see? Look, you're a fool. A fool!
Yeah.
As here comes a very quick Solitude. Pitch this Yorion. Let's take care of this Emery. I think we can respond here. No, it's a mystical dispute. That's not going to work. but we do have an Unholy Heat. It's going to take care of the Ice-Fang Coatl. Jesse gets to untap. All right. I don't know what winning this game looks like if Breach doesn't win this turn. So yeah, here comes Underworld Breach. I mean, I can't tell you the mix, but I'm pretty confident here. Here we got each non-land card in the graveyard has escapes. We're not getting the Sagas back, but we have a lot of 0-mana cards. We have Ragavan. We have, I assume there's a 0. Yeah, there's Mishra's Bauble. We have a lot of things that we can start casting. The question is, can we remove this Chalice from play? Maybe we don't even need to. Maybe Jesse's plan here is just cast a bunch of Expressive Iterations and just draw like 100 cards and then win with the other Underworld Breach.
Victor's hand is just Omnath, which he can't even cast. So
here's Mishra's Bauble. Yeah. You see that trigger kind of almost missed there, and he's like,
well,
I don't know.
Victor's like,
I don't know. I don't know what this means. I'm pretty sure I'm dead no matter what. I respect it. Like, what does winning this game actually look like for you? And I don't think it looks very pretty. I don't think there's a single draw step in Victor's deck that makes this look good. And that is going to be Jesse winning 2-1 over Victor Wood, getting the job done against the 4-color deck on a Mole 2-5.
Yeah, no, at that point I'd forgotten that it was a Mole to 5 because that game went on for quite a while. But Victor Wood's, just crippled by really the deck not serving up enough land. Not even, I mean, Solitudes are great and everything, but the Chalice on 0 is just not enough. When it's all
it bought time for sure.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We did see, I mean, Ragavan, how tilting is that? Ragavan coming across, and that's got to be the most brutal Ragavan that never hits spells I've ever seen. It's just like land. All right, you're going to miss land drops the next 5 turns.
Yeah, I mean,
brutal.
If those two Windswept Heaths both get drawn, then maybe he's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different game entirely because he doesn't have to do all this hemorrhaging of card advantage in order to just stymie some of Jesse's development.
All right, let's go ahead and look at the leaderboard, and then we'll talk to Jessie and see what her thoughts are. All right, Season 2 leaderboard, Jessie Robkin up on top, looking good. Has to survive the Modern event today, the Pioneer 5K tomorrow, and then we'll lock up the top 2 unqualified players. Hard to imagine that Jessie won't be one of them, especially starting 5-1 today, looking not with a top 8 locked up, but certainly looking good to potentially make it in. And it's hard to say solidifying a position, but really with a 20-point lead already.
And a very good performance in this tournament thus far. It's looking very good for Jessie and her championship odds here.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we're not going to be able to speak with Jessie right now, but maybe we'll be able to do that later on or tomorrow. I mean, she seems to win in all formats with all decks. So
yeah,
if we're just doing winners interviews, she's bound to show up at some point. Anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and revisit the Season 3 schedule because we've talked again a lot about how Season 2 ends this weekend. Season 3, the overall year-long leaderboard obviously continues on, but Season 3 leaderboard starts fresh in Newark, Ohio in October. So if you are thinking, okay, well, I can't catch up on the Season 2 leaderboard, that's true. But Season 3, everyone's starting 0. You got 4 events. If you can finish the top 2, you also can earn an invite to the Nerd Rage Championship. What is the Nerd Rage Championship? Well, I can tell you that the early discussions not early. I basically submitted my proposals on what the structure should be. That was taken into consideration. It's being evaluated. And I would expect within the next month, few weeks maybe, we will have the finalized structure, date, and announcements. And then all that's left is to see who can join the 7 on locking up invitations. Ivan Espinosa won the championship last year. Piper Powell won the Season 1 showdown. Joseph Bernal and Andrew Ellenbogen were the top point earners in Season 1. Connor Mullally, Theo Zhang, and Max Komanowski were the Season 2 team showdown winners. We'll have 2 more today. And then you can see below the rest, there's a Season 3 showdown, the Season 2 point earners, and then the overall 4 leaderboard players that are left. So let's go and put the overall leaderboard up there. And you can see where things stand. Now, Jessie Robkin is unlikely to still be in the running for the 2022 leaderboard, as she's likely to qualify this weekend. And we'll see what other players manage to qualify in Season 3. So these events may pass a fair ways down. I think we may be looking at the teens maybe at the end of the year as far as those last 4 at large spots. So definitely things to hope for all these players if they keep showing up events and keep earning points. We'll see how that plays out. In the meantime, if you're enjoying the content, please hit the follow button and come back and watch us in the future events. We've got 4 more big events coming as the rest of the winter season, well, it starts and plays out. I guess, I don't know, winter is time. See, living in California, I feel like winter, we think of it as like all the, like October on, but really it's not. It's winter starts in December, which is crazy.
Same. I mean, I live in Alabama, Joe. Last Christmas, it was 70 degrees outside. And, I lived in Chicago for a brief period as well. And it was like, I don't know, early October, and I was under a foot of snow. And I was like, what is happening?
That's winter. Winter's determined by snowfall, not by the calendar. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
much.
All right. So we've got 2 more rounds of Swiss today, plus the quarterfinals. Drake and I'll be back to take you through all of it. Give us a few minutes, get the next round set up. We'll be back.